Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we have completed the ancient India in the previous lecture, and now you can see here that basically we are going to start and discussion over the medieval India, right? So basically we had discussed in the first lecture of the ancient India, the history is basically divided into the three parts: ancient, medieval and the modern. And Indian history is also divided into the same: ancient India, medieval India and the modern India. Out of this division, we have completed the ancient India part. Now, we are going to talk about the medieval India. Okay. So basically, if we talk about the medieval India, so these are the topics that we are going to see here, or you can say that we are going to discuss here. Like, first we will start with an introduction part. Okay. Then we will discuss about the Delhi Sultanate. Then we will discuss about the provincial kingdoms. Then we will discuss about the Vijayanagar Empire. Okay. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss. So let's first read out the disclaimer before starting this lecture. Okay. So the images used in our slide deck are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and the owners of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathee@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. Now, let's come to the introduction part. So, the medieval history of India relates with the rise of Islam in India. Okay. It began with the conquest of Sindh, one of the provinces of the present-day Pakistan. Among the Muslims, the first to conquer the territories of India were the Arabs. It was under the leadership of Muhammad bin Qasim that Sindh was conquered. After Arabs, the Turks conquered India. So we can say, with the arrival of Islam in India, the medieval India starts. Okay. And basically, if we talk about the parts of country that got conquered by the outsiders. So first conquest of Sindh was completed by the Arabians under the leadership of Muhammad bin Qasim. After Arabians, the Turks came to India and they conquered the several parts of the country. Got it? So if we talk about the Turkish, like we have seen the leadership of Arabs under the Muhammad bin Qasim, now we are going to talk about the Turkish. So the Mahmud Ghaznavi was the basically founder of the Turkish rule in India. Okay. He led as many as 17 expeditions into India. Okay. And his expedition against the temple of Somnath was the most important. Why? As it gave Mahmud a vast treasure. So basically what happened, the Turkish attacked India, they looted India and then they returned back. But the attack on the Somnath temple, okay, that was one of the most important attack because after attacking the Somnath temple, he got the vast treasure or the war booty. Thereafter, he patronized Firdausi al-Bruni. He was the scholar, and al-Bruni resided in India for several years when Ghaznavi, you can say, conquered the several territory of India, mainly in Punjab. So basically, while residing in India, he wrote a book named as Kitab-ul-Hind and Utbi, the court historian. So basically, the Kitab-ul-Hind was the important detailed account of medieval India, how the medieval India was there, what were the practices and all. He recorded all of them. Okay. After finishing the introduction part, now we have the one of the most important topic that we have to discuss. And the topic is the Delhi Sultanate. Okay. So basically, if we talk about the Delhi Sultanate, so we can say the state set up by the Turks towards the end of 12th century in northern India gradually developed into a powerful and highly centralized state. Like during the Ghaznavi time, the Turks had no intention to permanently reside in India. They attacked, they robbed, then they returned. But after Ghaznavi, during the Muhammad Ghori time, basically what happened here, the outsiders came to India, but this time they did not only want to rob and return, but they had some other plans also. So basically, the territories that had been conquered by them in northern India, these territories gradually starting developing into a powerful and the highly centralized state that is known as the Delhi Sultanate. Okay. By the end of the 12th century, the Muhammad Ghori, as I have told you, was successful in occupying Delhi and started the dynasty of rulers, which together with some later dynasties came to be called as the Delhi Sultanate. So you can say previously they were mainly concentrated in these areas, western part. But during the time of Muhammad Ghori, they got succeeded to penetrate deeper and they even occupied the Delhi. And the powerful sultanate that was made by them, okay, made by Muhammad Ghori, was named as a Delhi Sultanate. But here is one thing. The Delhi Sultanate was not ruled by a single dynasty. Remember this. Okay. However, it was a sultanate, but still that was not ruled by the single dynasty. And basically, the 5 dynasties were there that ruled at Delhi from 1206 AD to 1526. Okay. And these 5 dynasties were first, the slave dynasty that ruled 1206 to 1290. The Khilji dynasty that ruled 1290 to 1320. The Tughlaq dynasty that ruled 1320 to 1414. Sayyid dynasty that ruled 1414 to 1451. And the last one was Lodi dynasty 1451 to 1526. These all 5 dynasties ruled the Delhi Sultanate over the different time periods and formed a powerful and a highly centralized state. Got it? So I think now you have got an you can say beginning of the Delhi Sultanate, okay, and you have got a simple overview about it. Now let's dive inside and discuss the first dynasty that was a slave dynasty. Okay, so why it is known as the slave dynasty? That is the first most question. So basically what happened during this time in 1206, Muhammad Ghori was killed, okay, in some expedition. And after his killing, his slave, his favorite slave, Qutbuddin Aibak, he became the ruler of Hindustan, okay, or the ruler of Delhi. So basically you can say because Qutbuddin Aibak was a slave, that's why it is known as a slave dynasty, because the founder of that dynasty was a slave. Okay. And this was the beginning of the slave dynasty in India. Got it? This dynasty is also known as Mamluk dynasty and Ilbari dynasty. Why it is called the Ilbari? Because, however, these were the Turks. Okay, these all were the Turkish, but in Turkey, they belong to the Ilbari tribe. So that's why it is known as Ilbari dynasty also sometimes. So, if we talk about the important rulers of the slave dynasty that we are required to study, so there are the 4 rulers. The first one, of course, was the Qutbuddin Aibak. He was also the founder. Remember, Muhammad Ghori was not the founder of the slave dynasty. Okay, he was the founder of the Muslim rule in India. He was the founder of Muslim rule of India, but he was not the founder of slave dynasty, because the slave dynasty was founded by the Qutbuddin Aibak after death of Muhammad Ghori. Got it? So he was the favorite slave of Muhammad Ghori, and after his death he was enthroned at Lahore in 1206, because on that time Lahore was the capital. Thereafter He laid down the foundation of the Qutub Minar. Okay, Qutub Minar we know is a very famous architecture in India, situated in the capital Delhi. Okay, and he wanted to build Qutub Minar in respect of Khwaja Qutbuddin Kaki. Many times we match Qutub and Qutub, so that's why we say that the Qutub Minar was under his name. No. However, he was the one who laid down the foundation, but Qutub Minar was dedicated to the Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. Okay. And because he was very generous, so he was given the title of Lakh Paksh, means giver of lakhs. Okay. In 1210, while playing Chaugan, that is the medieval form of game polo at Lahore, he fell down from his horse and died. Okay. Thereafter, the next ruler was the Shamshuddin Iltutmish. Okay. Aram Shah basically was the son of the Aibak, and after Qutbuddin Aibak, he became the ruler. But soon, he was overthrown by the Shamshuddin Iltutmish, and Shamshuddin Iltutmish was son-in-law of Aibak. Okay. And basically, it is said that the Iltutmish was the real founder of Delhi Sultanate. Because when Aibak started ruling the Delhi Sultanate, he was not that much of succeed to restore the power. But Iltutmish after him got succeeded in restoring the power at the Delhi and the important centers. He shifted the capital from Lahore to Delhi, and he was the first Turkish ruler of Delhi who organized the army of the Sultanate as the king's army or the ruler's army. He issued Tanka. Tanka means the silver coin, and Jital was the copper coins for the first time. Okay, and he later on died in 1236. Thereafter, the Razia Sultan. Okay, so basically the Iltutmish had nominated his daughter Razia Sultan as the successor, but the nobles, or you can say the ministers of the king, recommended Rukuddin Firoz Shah on the throne. Okay, because they did not want to be under some woman. However, Razia got rid of Rukuddin and his powerful mother Shah Turkan and somehow ascended the throne. She was the first and the last female ruler of Delhi or medieval India. She discarded the purda. Parda means adorn the male attire and held the open court. The proud Turkish nobles thought it beneath their dignity to be governed by a woman. Thus, that's why in 1240, Razia became a victim of conspiracy and got assassinated near the Kaithal, Haryana. Okay. After her comes the Ghiyasuddin Balban. So basically, he ascended the throne in 1266. Okay. So basically, he was the consolidator of the Sultanate of Delhi as he broke the power of Chehalgani Chalisa. So what happened? During the Shamshuddin Iltutmish time, he introduced the Chalisa groups, Chehalgani system. And basically, Chalisa group was the group of 40 nobles. Okay. Maximum power of the Delhi Sultanate was given to these 40 nobles. And because of this, the king was not that much of capable in exercising of powers. When Ghiyasuddin Balban came into the picture and became a ruler of the Sultanate, then the first thing he did, he disbanded this Chehalgani and the Chalisa system. Interesting fact is that he was also the part of the Chalisa group before becoming a ruler. He also took many measures to establish the good governance, okay, because he took over entire power of the king and he became independent to take their orders. He was the first sultan to put forward his divine theory of kingship. It means the ruler is the shadow of the god. Okay. So that theory was basically first propounded by the Ghiyasuddin Balban. The army establishment got separated from the rest of the civil department. It means that the military department and the civil departments got separated, their works got defined, and the officers that was appointed by him to govern these areas that were also appointed by him on separate basis. Amir Khusro, the parrot of India, Toti-e-Hind, adorned his court. He was one of the famous writer and scholar of the medieval India. Okay. After the slave dynasty, now we have the Khilji dynasty. Okay. The Khiljis were probably of the Turkish origin, but had become Afghan in character. Why? Because for the long time they were the governors of the Afghanistan area, working with the slave dynasty. So that's why, because they resided for you can say years in the Afghanistan, so that's why their traditions and the characters look like Afghan, but they were actually the Turkish originated people. The replacement of slave dynasty by the Khilji dynasty is termed as the Khilji revolution because that marked the end of the power by the Turkish nobility and the racial dictatorship. So, because the slave dynasty rulers were the Turkish people, okay? So generally in the nobility or in the higher positions, basically the Turkish appointed and non-Turkish were not given that much of chance. So when the Khilji established the rule, they disbanded that practice. Okay. The important rulers of the Khilji dynasties were three. Okay. The first of them was the Jalaluddin Khilji. He was the founder and the first ruler of the Khilji dynasty. Okay. He was the first ruler of Delhi Sultanate to clearly put forward the view that the state should be based on the willing support of the government. Okay. Like whatever the people want, the ruler will do, and whatever the ruler will want, the people will do. So that was the first concept that he brought. Okay. And as a majority of people of India were Hindus, it could not be purely an Islamic state. He followed might and general policy. So basically, however, he was a Islamic ruler, but he know that the majority of the people in India were Hindus. So that's why he did not want to force them with his Islamic policies. So that's why he followed the mild and the generous policies so that the people could be governed effectively and efficiently. After him comes the Alauddin Khilji. He ascended the throne after getting his uncle Jalaluddin murdered. So we can say that basically he murdered Jalaluddin and captured the throne. He was the first Sultan of Delhi who separated religion from politics. It means that the religious leaders would not have any influence on the king, and the king would be independent in the religious and the administrative matters. He captured Chittor, which was renamed Khazirabad after the name of his son Khizr Khan. Okay. In Deccan, southern India, Alauddin's army led by the Malik Kafur, and they defeated the Yadavas of Devagiri, Kakatiyas of Varangal, and the Hosalas of Davara Samudram, and the Padyans of Madurai. And he called himself the second Alexander, Sikandar-e-Sani, in the Kutba on his coins. Why? Because he had the same policy as the Alexander. The Alexander had a policy to attack and conquer. Alauddin Khilji also appointed the same policy. It means find the areas, attack on them, conquer them. Okay. And Kutuba means about the description of the king. So in Kutuba, he said him as a Sikandar-e-Sani, and that was published on his coins that was circulated within the Sultanate. After this comes the Mubarak Shah. Okay. He was the third and the last ruler of the Khilji dynasty. He started his rule by releasing all taxes and penalties that were imposed by his father. He launched an expedition to the Devagiri and annexed the Devagiri to the Delhi Sultanate. He was the only Delhi Sultan to call himself Khalif. Okay. Qutbuddin Mubarak Shah was the weakest ruler of the dynasty, and because of his weakness, he got murdered by Khusro Khan later on. Got it? Now, let's move to the Tughlaq dynasty. 1320 AD to 1414. The Tughlaqs were Muslim family of Turkish origin, and the Tughlaqs belonged to the Karana Turk tribe, which was the mixed tribe of Turk and Mongol. Okay, and the important Tughlaq rulers were three basically. The first one was the Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Okay, he was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty, and he is the first sultan to be credited with the digging canals for the improvement of irrigation and the agriculture. Okay, Ghiyasuddin strengthened the defense of northwestern frontier in India so that he could check the Mongol invasion. Thereafter, he also adopted a balanced policy known as Rasam-e-Miana, and he put down the revolt of Ghiyasuddin Bahadur in Bengal. Ghiyasuddin founded the city of Tughlaqabad, okay, and renamed Warangal, Bengal as Sultanpur. Okay. On returning from Bengal, he died in 1325 because the wooden pavilion where he resided, the roof of that wooden pavilion got collapsed and he died there. After him comes the Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So he tried to introduce many administrative reforms. Okay. And he had the 5 ambitious projects for which he had become particularly debatable. So we can say when he ascended the throne, basically he had a policy to change the administration of the state into some new manner. Okay. And basically he had the 5 ambitious projects undertaken by him for this. And because of this, he became particularly debatable. And those 5 projects, also known as 5 great mistakes by the Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was a great scholar of Persian and the Arabic and was well versed in various branches of learning like astronomy, philosophy, mathematics, medicine, logic, and etc. He transferred the capital from Delhi to Devagiri or Daulatabad, okay, so that he could have a control on south also. And Muhammad Tughlaq introduced the bronze coins, which had the same value as the silver coins. So because of this, the economy of the state was also suffered. After him comes the Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He was a son of Malik Rajab, who was the younger brother of Ghiyasuddin. After his succession, the Firoz Shah Tughlaq faced the problem of the imminent breakup of the Delhi Sultanate. It means that the Delhi Sultanate was breaking into the pieces. He adopted the policy of opposing the nobles, the army, and the theologians. It means that instead of charging the kingship on them, he surrendered himself to them. He also asserted his authority over only such areas where he could only easily administer them from the center, and he was the first sultan to impose the irrigation tax, then known as Hakik-e-Sharaf. After him comes the Sayyid dynasty. The Sayyid dynasty was succeeded the Tughlaq dynasty and ruled the Sultanate until they were replaced by the Lodi dynasty. The important rulers of the Sayyid dynasty were 2 rulers. The first one was the Khizr Khan. Khizr Khan was the founder of Sayyid dynasty, the descendants of the Prophet, and ruled as a deputy of Taimur's son and successor Shah Rukh. His reign was marked by chaos and disorder. The emperor's territory had shrunken to Delhi and adjoining areas, and basically he died due to illness in 1421 AD, and Tajul Mulk was his the famous loyal minister. Thereafter, Mubarak Shah. He was a son of Khizr Khan. Sultan conferred the title of Khane-Khana on Banu Lodi. He subdued the rebellions at Patinda and Doyab and the revolt by the Khokhar chief Jasrat. Thereafter, however, he fell to a conspiracy by some Muslim and Hindu nobles when he proceeded to superintend the construction of a newly planned town called Mubarakabad on Jamna. He patronized Yahya bin Ahmad Shirhandi, author of Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi, and his reign was characterized by the court conspiracy. His real authority extended to mere 40 miles around his capital as a result of intriguing nobility. Muhammad Shah, succeeded by his son Alam Shah, who had already established his residence at Badaयूं, resigned his era without opposition. The betrayer Hamid Khan was later on asserted with the resignation of Alauddin. The Sayyid dynasty came to an end in AD 1451 and Banu Lodi ushered in the Lodi dynasty. If we talk about the Lodi dynasty, the famous rulers were three. The first one was the Bahlol Lodi. He was the founder of the dynasty, and during his reign, Muhammad Shah served as the Subedar of Lahore and Sirte. He tried to restore the greatness of Delhi Sultanate and has conquered the territories around the Delhi. He got succeeded by his son Nizam Shah under the title of Sultan Sikandar Lodi in 1489. So now Sikandar Lodi, he was the intelligent among the three Lodi leaders, conquered Bihar and concluding a friendship treaty with the Alauddin Hussain Shah of Bengal. He introduced the system of auditing the accounts, relaxed the restrictions on trade, which greatly promoted the economic prosperity of the people. He lacked religious tolerance and levied jizya and pilgrim tax on the Hindus also. Thereafter, the Ibrahim Lodi. Sikandar Lodi was succeeded simultaneously by his two sons Ibrahim on the throne of Agra and Jalal on the throne of Jaipur. Later, Ibrahim killed Jalal and became the ruler. In the first battle of Panipat on 20th April 1526, Ibrahim Lodi was defeated by Babur, the ruler of Kabul. And the Ibrahim Lodi was the first Sultan of Delhi who was killed in the battleground. The Sultanate came to an end and the new dynasty, the Mughal dynasty, began their rule in India after him. Now, in Delhi Sultanate, if we're talking about, so Bengal is an important part. The Bengal was made a part of Delhi Sultanate by the Alauddin Khilji. However, it remained a problem for the Sultan of Delhi due to its distance from the capital. A period of unrest was finally brought to an end when a noble of Arab origin named Sayyid Hussain assumed power in there and entitled himself as Alauddin Hussain Shah. Thus, Hussain Shahi dynasty was established in Bengal. Alauddin Hussain Shah ruled from AD 1494 to 1590 and was the most popular ruler of Bengal. He got succeeded by his son Nasrat Shah. After weak successors of the Nasrat Shah, the Bengal occupied by the Sher Shah Suri in 1538 AD. Now we have the provincial kingdoms. First is Assam. The Ahoms under the Sukapaha founded the kingdom in Assam in the first half of the 13th century. Rudra Singh, who reigned as Savagar Narayan, was the most powerful Ahom ruler. The kingdom was annexed to the Mughal Empire in the 17th century. Thereafter, the Odisha. The kingdom of Odisha was consolidated by the Anantvarman Chodganga Deva. The famous Jagannath temple was also built by him at Odisha. Okay. After his death, his dynasty began to decline, and around 1434, the dynasty was supplanted by the Chautiya dynasty and the Chautiya kingdom. Means this one. The Chautiya kingdom was the Assamic kingdom, okay, mainly considered in Assam, but they had also got the control over the Odisha. Gajapati dynasty was replaced by the Muslim ruler of the Khilji dynasty, and Gajapati, which was founded by Govinda, Odisha was annexed to Bengal by the Suleiman later on. Thereafter, the Kashmir. Zainul Abidin was the greatest Muslim ruler of Kashmir. He abolished jizya and withdrew sati. He also abolished the cow slaughter. He had translated Mahabharat into Persian and created the Zaina Lanka, the artificial island on the Vular Lake. After Zainul Abidin, they ensured chaos and anarchy under the rule of nominal kings who ascended the throne. Later, Akbar annexed Kashmir into the Mughal Empire in 1588. After this, the Gujarat. After Tamur invasion in Delhi, 1398 AD, Gujarat became independent under its governor Zafar Khan. He renamed himself Muzaffar Shah I. Ahmad Shah I was another ruler of Gujarat who founded the city of Ahmedabad and shifted the capital from Patan to Ahmedabad. Also built the Jama Masjid and Teen Darwaza at Ahmedabad. Mahmud Begara was considered the greatest Sultan of Gujarat and was called Begara. He formed a naval alliance with Sultan of Turkey and Egypt and defeated the Portuguese in the Battle of Cheol in 1508. But He got defeated in the next year in the Battle of Diu. The Italian traveler Berthema and Portuguese traveler Barbosa visited his court. Thereafter, the Mewar. The Mewar was an old principality of minor importance under the rule of Giuliot dynasty, with the capital Nagad. Although the Alauddin Khilji captured the Chittor, the capital of Mewar, in AD 1303, it was soon restored by Rana Hamid, who established the rule of Rana dynasty. Rana Kumbha was the greatest ruler of the Sisodia dynasty, carried out continuous warfare against the Gujarat and Malwa, and was murdered by his son Uda so that he could get the throne. Thereafter, the Rana Sanga was another popular ruler of Mewar who defeated Muhammad Khilji II of Malwa and also Ibrahim Lodi of Delhi at Ghatoli. And he was defeated by Babur in the Battle of Khanua, 1527. After this, now we have the Vijayanagar Empire, that is in the southern India. Harihara I and the Bukka I were the founders of the Vijayanagar Empire in 1336 on the advice of Vidyaranya, who converted them back to Hindu after they got converted into the Islam during the Muhammad bin Tughlaq's rule. The important dynasty of the Vijayanagar empires were Sangam dynasty, Saluva dynasty, Thuluva dynasty, and Aravidu. Harihar and Bukka first and the Bukka first belong to the Sangam dynasty. Harihara I made Anagundi his capital and he annexed the Hoysala state in 1346 AD, when the Muslim ruler of Madurai defeated and killed the Hoysala ruler Veer Balal III. Bukka first made Gutti his capital. The empire saw expansion under the Bukka first. In AD 1374, he sent an embassy to the Emperor of China. Harihara laid the foundations of Vidyanagar. Bukka renamed it as a Vijayanagar. It means the city of victory. Bukka first succeeded by his son Harihara II. He was the first ruler to assume legal titles of Raja Parmeshwara, Maharaj Dhiraj. He embarked upon a policy of expansion towards the eastern sea coast, led Vijayanagar Empire into fresh conflicts. After Sangam dynasty, the Vijayanagar witnessed chaos and disorder due to weak rulers. However, the situation was saved by the governor of Chandranagiri, Narasimha Saluva, who seized the throne in about 1485 and established the Saluva dynasty. In the history, he is known as the first usurpation dictator. Following the death of Narasanayak in AD 1505, his son Veer Narasimha succeeded as the regent. He deposed Imadi Narasimha and laid the foundation of the what is known as the history as the second usurpation dictator. The Aravidu dynasty was founded by Tirumala II, the brother of Ram Raya, who ruled in the name of Sadasiva Raya. On his failure to repopulate Vijayanagar, he shifted the capital to Penugonda. During his rule, the Nayakas became independent. Tirumala then divided his empire into the three practically linguistic sections and placed them under his sons. Ranga III was the last ruler of the Vijayanagar. Okay. So students, basically in this lecture, we have done with the several topics of the medieval India. In the next lecture, we will continue with the other topics. Till then, just revise the facts and figures at all we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the next lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture, and what we say thank you.